Right, the podcast where we sift through the political nonsense and give you the unfiltered truth. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Nick, and today we're diving into a topic that makes my blood boil. The fact that our politicians are bought and paid for by foreign governments. And we're not talking subtle influence here. This is blatant, out in the open, money talks, corruption.
Yeah, Nick, let's call it what it is. The United States Congress might as well be standing in line, hands out, for foreign cash. Whether it's Israel, Saudi Arabia, or any country with enough money to grease the wheels of Washington, our so-called representatives are all too willing to bend over backwards to keep the funds flowing.
No one exemplifies this better than what we saw recently. There was that moment when members of our Congress stood and clapped, like trained seals at SeaWorld, practically begging for a fish, while the leader of a foreign government stood in our halls, the seat of our government, and basically called the citizens that elected those politicians anti-Semites and terrorists.
It's outrageous. Let's break this down. We have politicians, the ones that we vote into office to represent our interests, standing up and applauding a foreign leader who is leading a genocidal campaign. A leader whose government is guilty of war crimes, dodging international law like it's a game, and actively supporting policies that amount to apartheid and worse. They even have rape camps.
And what does our government do? Instead of holding this regime accountable, we send them billions of our tax dollars. $3.3 billion annually goes straight to Israel. And that's not even touching on the additional funds and military aid that flow there whenever there's a flare-up.
Over the past 264 days, during what's clearly a campaign of genocide, the US has been sending, on average, $25 million per day, over $700 million a month. And what's even more disgusting is that the US has sent Israel over 100 weapons shipments between October and March, one shipment every 1.5 days. Weapons that are used to continue the occupation, to flatten entire neighborhoods, to kill innocent civilians.
And while this is happening, what are our politicians doing? They're giving standing ovations, applauding like their lives depend on it. They aren't just clapping, they're participating. They're complicit. Because make no mistake, these weapons and this aid aren't falling from the sky. It's our tax money, our dollars that are funding this brutality.
And let's not forget, this isn't just about Israel. This is about any foreign government with deep enough pockets to buy influence. Our Congress is a bidding war for foreign interests. All it takes is enough money, and they'll do whatever these governments want.
Right? You can't even have an honest debate about these things without being labeled an anti-Semite or some kind of extremist. The narrative is locked down so tight that questioning it makes you a target. It's like free speech gets thrown out the window when money is involved.
And while this is happening, let's talk about what we get in return. Where's our free healthcare? Where's affordable education? Where's childcare, housing support, infrastructure? The government says they don't have the money for any of it, but somehow there's always billions available to send overseas to fund someone else's war, someone else's occupation, someone else's agenda.
Exactly. It's not that there isn't enough money. It's that the money is being spent on everything but us. We are paying for healthcare. We are paying for education and childcare. But instead of it going to benefit us, our tax dollars are handed over to foreign regimes and military contractors. And what do they tell us? That we're asking for something for nothing. But the truth is, we've already paid for it. We're just not getting it.
So, let's be clear. This isn't just bad politics, this is theft. Theft of our tax dollars, our resources, and our future. Our government is prioritizing the interests of foreign governments over the interests of its own people. And they're doing it with a smile on their face.
And that's where we come in, folks. It's time to wake up. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's not paranoia. The facts are right in front of us. Our politicians are bought and paid for, and it's time to hold them accountable.
We need to start demanding better. Because if we don't, this will just keep happening. We'll keep sending money overseas, and we'll keep getting told there's nothing left for us. And that's not just wrong, it's criminal.
Well, that's our time today. If you're just as furious as we are, let your representatives know it.
And we'll be right here, breaking down the madness, calling out the hypocrisy, and making
This has been Not the Right. We'll see you next time, folks. Stay informed, stay angry, and stay in the fight. The number of people that could be brought out of poverty with $25 million per day depends on how poverty is defined and the amount of assistance required to lift someone above the poverty line. Here's a general estimate based on the U.S. poverty threshold and typical forms of assistance.